All right, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Chief Meteorologist Damon Lane here in the KOCO5 Weather Center. I want to give you an update on what we have unfolding later into the week, mainly on Friday, with a threat for severe weather across middle of America here. Now, there's been a lot of talk about a cold front coming into Oklahoma. This is going to be that day on Friday, but notice how the Storm Prediction Center is highlighting Iowa and southern Minnesota as having an increased threat for severe weather. Now, that does not mean that Oklahoma will not have a threat for severe weather, but right now, we feel a lot more confident that there will be a severe weather outbreak set up in the upper Midwest. Let's go over a couple weather models here so we can talk about just how exactly this event will likely unfold. Cold front coming in. This is going to be for Friday afternoon, 7 o'clock in the evening. You can see cold front coming in the northwestern Oklahoma. That's where you have those winds coming in from the north. But we will have a dry line setting up out and towards western parts of the state. You can see the winds coming in from the west. Certainly will be quite warm. You can see temperatures here mainly in the 80s before this cold front comes in here. Now, the moisture that we have to work with, dew point levels are going to be quite high here. We're talking about dew points about 65 to 70 degrees. So a lot of moisture to work with across the main body of the state. You will not see that moisture to work with in the panhandle. You can see that gradient in western Oklahoma where the dry line is going to be. So as of right now, if we took the GFS model for its word here on the 90-hour outlook, so again by 7 o'clock on Friday, extreme western Oklahoma does not look like it's going to have as great of a chance for there being any type of severe weather and thunderstorms developing as it will be a little bit farther to the east, right down I-35. Now, here's the type of shear that we're dealing with here. And right now, what I'm seeing coming in out of this is that we're likely going to have a hail and a wind producer. We will have a threat for an isolated tornado. Right now, the tornado risk is not incredibly high, but it's not non-existent. You can see there's a lot of shear going on, a lot of wind going on out and towards the panhandle, both Texas and Oklahoma and southwestern Oklahoma, but we don't have any moisture to work with here. So while we do have the shear available with this purple shading, again, not a lot of moisture, which means that there will not be any storms going on out here. That shear drops off a little bit as you make your way in towards western Oklahoma. Notice how we have the blue shading here. So we do have some shear available, and that would support the threat for some rotating thunderstorms, and by that we mean supercell storms as they go up. Now let's talk about how much energy we have to work with again here Friday afternoon at about 7 o'clock in the evening. We have this ribbon of about 2,000 CAPE here. When you see your CAPE values, and by that we actually call CAPE convective available potential energy. So the amount of energy that is available, we'll have a ribbon of some high CAPE levels from basically Altus to Weatherford as you make your way towards around Medford, Oklahoma. This is where we have a chance of seeing some of the more stronger to severe storms developing, again, within this ribbon of the highest CAPE values. Notice how as you go a little bit farther to the east in the Oklahoma City, we see the CAPE values drop off. That means you don't have as much energy to work with. We still have some energy to work with, but it looks like the best chance for there being severe weather right now in Oklahoma would be within this yellow shading. And then notice as we go later into the evening, this would be 1 a.m. Saturday morning, we lose a lot of that energy. So basically here, these storms would have a severe weather risk, but as we go into the evening, we would likely lose that severe weather risk as we lose a lot of the energy available. Now, what about the opposite of this convective available potential energy? This would be your cap. A lot of times you hear us talking about there being a cap in the atmosphere, a lid of warmer air above, and we can't get storms to go up. We will have a cap, but notice how this right here doesn't indicate a very strong cap. When you start seeing the blues, that's a pretty strong cap. But this red right here, this is a cap, but it certainly is breakable. So yeah, it looks like there will probably be a severe weather chance and a thunderstorm chance again in the afternoon, as we're probably going to have a very easy time breaking this cap. Now, what about the cloud bases? We look at this right here to see just exactly where the tornado threat is going to lie. When you have high cloud bases, you're probably not going to have that great of a chance of getting a tornado to develop out of these storms. When you start getting your cloud bases down around 250 to 500 meters, so you start getting that purple shading, that's when you start to get a little concerned. Notice how at about 7 o'clock Friday afternoon, our cloud bases are still going to be in the 750 to 1,000 meter range here. That means that the cloud bases are going to be a little high, probably a little bit too high for there to be, again, a real good chance of there being a tornado threat here, but cannot rule out an isolated tornado developing. Again, this is still 90 hours out, so we still have a long ways to go here, and we'll be tweaking this along the way here. And then looking at 1 a.m. Friday morning, cold front is already going to be east of I-35 here, coming up basically in towards Oklahoma City and I-35 area, and then it pushes down to the southeast, and again, looks like that takes the storm chance out of here. So as of right now, that is going to be the breakdown for the severe weather risk that we have coming up here on Friday. We'll watch it pretty closely. Have a great day.